the way cars are getting fixed today, and this is totally about money.
Yeah.
It's money for the shop. It's saving money for the insurance company. The guest is getting screwed. You want to find somebody to help you.
Yeah.
And many times the shop that fixed it is going to blow it off. Oh, that's normal, or it was like that before, or insurance company wouldn't pay for that, or, hundreds of different reasons why they're not going to help you. And a lot of these people land up here, and we get them taken care of.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Airing of Grievances. I'm Eric Reamer. This is Robert Grieve. And if you are watching this during the premiere, that's a Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. in the Mountain Standard Time Zone, then you can actually chat live with us as we watch the first episode as well. That's what Robert says. That's how he doesn't type like that. He types like this. Yeah. All right, Rob. Happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you, and to you, my dear friends. Thanks for tuning in.
Always. And now you are, among other things, you are in the process of preparing to speak at a get-together of a number of different collision associations. Is that correct?
I believe there's 5 of them.
Yeah,
it's called the Midwest Conference.
Okay.
And they have been. They asked me to come in and do a little presentation. Imagine that.
Have they ever seen one of your presentations before?
They did have it.
Okay,
just one of the associations did.
Oh well, now they're sharing the love.
Yeah, they want me to come back and do it again.
All right. And so I've had the privilege of kind of working together with you behind the scenes, kind of getting ready for your presentation.
Thank you for your help.
But this is something we want to share with our folks.
Well, we're going to give a little couple of slides, a couple of pictures that will be in the presentation, a little teaser, if you will, because it's good for the community to understand. This is, while I'm talking to the industry at this particular event, today we're talking to the consumers,
right,
of stuff that we come across as we're doing our post-repair inspections, and they come for all different reasons why they land up here. But
you used a phrase that is very common in the industry, post-repair inspections. Mm-hmm. And for the consumer, you could probably parse out those words and figure it out, but just give us at 5th grade level, what is a post-repair inspection, and why would anybody want one?
All right. Again, there's several different reasons, so we may not go into all the reasons, but you unfortunately had an accident. You took your vehicle to who you felt was a reputable collision center repair place. Maybe they were a friend's recommendation, maybe the insurance, you picked them off the insurance company list.
Yep.
In this particular case that I'm going to be showing you, it actually was here to be repaired, deemed a total loss by the person's insurance that hit them, but then they didn't have enough money in their policy to cover the repairs or the total loss charges, so it went back to the original insured's policy.
Yeah.
And they decided it was fixable, even though we said it's really not fixable. And it got pulled out of here and sent to another one of their preferred shops.
Preferred shops, yeah. When you hear the word preferred shops, remember the air quotes that Rob just used. Not preferred by anybody who cares about you.
Right.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, this car was sent to a local place here in Colorado. Got a decent name, got some great reviews and stuff like that. Owns 3-4 shops, and we're going to take a look at what happened to the vehicle.
But you got to see the vehicle after. This is that post-repair
I got to see
inspection.
it before and after.
Right.
So we knew what the damage was ahead of time, and I have to be careful how much I talk about this particular case because it is going to be a lawsuit.
I see.
Who's going to be named and what's going to go on, I don't know, but it is going to be big dollars. Big dollars. So, back to what's a post-repair inspection. You had your car fixed someplace, something just doesn't seem necessarily right. Maybe the paint doesn't match grade, or maybe you hear a creak or a rattle,
or in some cases you hear a
creak. Yeah, we've seen we've seen that before. And so you want to find somebody to help you.
Yeah.
And many times the shop that fixed it is going to blow it off. Oh, that's normal, or it was like that before, or insurance company wouldn't pay for that, or hundreds of different reasons why they're not going to help you. And a lot of these people land up here, and we get them taken care of.
I see.
And so we'll go through the vehicle. At first we'll take a look at the paperwork, take a walk around the vehicle, and then we'll kind of make an assessment. Does it need to go further? And if we feel as though it needs to go further, then we'll get permission to start taking some stuff apart so we can get better access to look at some of the stuff that we're questioning.
I gotcha. Okay, so that's a post-repair inspection. And the thing that you should take away from this brief conversation is that if something doesn't feel right when you take your car to a vehicle to be repaired, or take your vehicle to a shop to be repaired, and you want to have somebody else take a look at it, certainly here at Nylund's, we are open and willing to help in any way possible. And there are other shops who are also willing to do a second look to see what's going on with that inspection or the repair that you've had done.
Yeah.
All right. So, as you said, we have a case study here that is...
it's a sneak peek of what I'm going to be presenting in Kansas. So
all right.
Don't be sharing it with anybody from Kansas.
Don't tell anybody. You heard it here first.
It's just a little piece. But yeah, and again, I can't talk too much about the vehicle as far as type or anything like that, and it really doesn't matter once you start looking at the pictures. But this vehicle, we even put a note in the car that it was going to be coming back here for a post-repair inspection.
When you released the car to go to the insured's preferred shop, there was a note that says,
it's coming back to Nylund for a
heads up.
post-repair inspection.
That's like the teacher saying, I'm going to grade this and then I'm going to show your parents. Really?
And there was actually, the insurance company was having trouble finding somebody to repair this vehicle because whenever they said it was coming from Nylund's, nobody really wanted to touch it.
We have a reputation for the highest level of quality.
If we say it needs to go away, that's looking at the damage and assessing what your life is going to be like driving this thing, down the road.
Yeah.
And the economic value of it, and all cars can be fixed, but does it make sense financially to do that? And this vehicle should not have been fixed. It was a total then. It's a total now.
All right.
It's worse.
So share with us then your little snippet of what you're going to be revealing at the event here in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so, and this wasn't really very hard to find. Knowing the damage on the vehicle, we kind of knew where to look.
Where to look, sure.
Yeah. So this wasn't hard to pull back a little piece of trim and see that nasty, ugly, ridiculous weld. I mean, that is as ridiculous as it gets.
Yeah.
Worse than that.
Don't be distracted by the rainbow, folks.
Yeah. Worse than that, it hasn't been dressed at all. In other words, that should have been sanded down and then painted, primed and painted.
To prevent corrosion, right?
Yes. But this is the side we're seeing. Imagine what the side that we can't see looks like. And it needs to be done on both sides. And if you can't get to the other side to do that,
you got a problem.
it's a total. But That's pretty gnarly, and I don't think you have to be a professional to realize that that's not the way that should look.
No.
And again, all I did was just pull a little piece of foam back. You can see my thumb holding it as I'm taking the picture. It wasn't hard to get to.
Yeah, don't go to that cosmetic surgeon.
Yeah. So here's another picture of some nasty, gnarly, bent metal, horrible welds.
Are you telling me that this is after the repair?
Yeah. The metal is not even straight.
No.
It's still buckled in, and yet we managed to put some really grotesque welds in there.
You know,
I'm speechless looking at this.
I've used this word before, but I'm going to use it again in this particular instance. That looks like Frankenstein. It's pieces and parts put together and horrible.
Yeah, and this is a repaired vehicle. This is a repaired vehicle by an insurance preferred shop. So if anybody knows me or has listened to any of the videos, you know that I always say, do not go to a shop on the list that the insurance company sends you.
Yep. Share this video. Pause it right now. Grab the link. Stick it in your Facebook feed and share this video with as many people as you possibly can. Now, you may say, well, what's the purpose in that? The purpose is this. This could be happening to you or somebody that you love.
Yep. And while you're there, hit the thumbs up button.
We'd appreciate that.
You're gonna love it anyway.
Yeah, and that helps YouTube share this with more people as well. All right, what are we looking at here?
Well, we're looking at a different spot on that same piece.
Okay.
And the welds aren't quite as atrocious, but they're not very good either.
What is that in the middle there?
But the metal is actually cracked.
It looks like a crack.
Yeah, the metal's actually cracked, and while we were there and we could do some spot welds on either, well, those aren't spot welds, those are mag welds on either side, MIG welds. Why wouldn't you take and weld that up and finish it off nice?
That's a good question.
That is an incredibly weak spot. So imagine getting hit again in that area. What is that metal going to do for you as far as protecting you?
It's not going to support you the way that it used to.
It's already compromised. Should actually be thrown away. Should be cut out and a new one replaced. Just from that right there, and that's, and again, that was related to the damage that was done to the vehicle.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. It's I can't even believe I'm looking at this. All right, this is looking up into the quarter panel, and you see a bunch of scratch marks in the primer.
Sure.
And then you see some brown dots.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is on the inside of the panel. On the outside of the panel, they were fixing a dent, and they weld tabs on and then pull the tabs out to get the dent to go away. But after you do that, if you don't go in and respray these with they need to be sanded first and primed and then repainted this E-coat gray, this is just going to rust.
It looks like the rust has already started.
Yeah, and I didn't take anything apart to take that picture, which means it's wide open. This is the wheelhouse here.
Yep.
So as the wheel is turning,
it's
just throwing mud and dirt and everything up into there. And this is going to rust out in no time at all. So again, it was easily accessible that you could get in there with a Scotch Brite, which is like a
little scrubby.
Scrubby, yeah. You can get in there and scrub all that, and then wipe it clean, prime it, and then dust some E-coat on it. It would be good to go. But we just repaired the outside. This is a very, very common problem in repairing stuff. And insurance companies would rather that you repair something than replace it. So when they repair something and leave the backside like that, it's not really repaired.
It reminds me of the phrase, we cared enough to spend the very least.
Yeah. So that's that. And that's the least of that's the least of it. All right, now we're looking underneath the car.
Yep.
And oh boy, this is a brace that goes around, and it's supposed to sit flush against this piece right here,
Yep.
and then the floor comes down, and you can see at the top of the floor a weld, again, that has not been sanded and repainted the way it should, so that's going to rust. And then this bracket is still bent and won't sit flush against the rocker panel, and there's just a little burp weld, which is definitely not the way it's supposed to be. But the point of this picture is that brace is still bent.
Yep.
And even though there's a new piece that it's getting a little tiny weld to, the weld up top is going to rust and it's going to deteriorate quickly. And this is underneath the car that gets dirty all the time. Every time it rains or snows, that's going to get crusted.
Rust is an aggressive corroder of metal. Is that safe to say?
I think that Neil Young put it even better. Rust never sleeps.
There you go.
That's all I got. Now this is a different brace going a little further up.
Okay.
And you'll notice here that while that piece fits better than the other one did, it's closer to.
But down
the
at the bottom it's
they had
buckled.
to bend it.
Yeah.
To reach where it's supposed to be, which again, this brace is still bent and needed to be replaced. And by the way, this goes across the whole floor of the vehicle, from one side of the vehicle to the other side, underneath the doors. And to replace that would be an incredible project. But if you go to the top of the picture, you're going to see, again, torn metal, not welded. It is got some corrosion protection on it, but you can see by the peeling paint, not very good. But there's a big hole.
Yeah.
And that is the floor of the vehicle. And, again, that should probably be replaced. And we're talking about the floor of the vehicle. It's ripped.
Yeah.
It's ripped wide open.
Yeah, it is.
If you're going to fix the vehicle and you're replacing this piece, hammer and dolly the thing together, weld it all up, grind it all flat, nobody would have seen it.
Right.
We can't even do that. Thank you. I appreciate that, though, because it made it easier for me to get rid of this car. Again, this is from the bottom looking up, and you can see, the welds on this bracket and how they had to bend it.
Yep.
And the weld next to it that is kind of dressed, but not really. And then you can see the torn metal again up at the top. Same picture from a different angle. But this is the strength for a side hit. This is underneath the driver's door. And
once metal has been bent, it's fatigued.
It's fatigued, and it's not even welded there properly. This is going to offer no protection, in my opinion. Here we have a picture of all these pieces of metal should be squeezed together. There should be no gap in any of this. But there is, because they're still bent pieces.
Yep.
That they're not able to get. You can see they welded these two front pieces together fine.
Sort of.
But the floor is still bent, and they were not able to move it forward because there's a big brace attached to it. It's nasty and unsafe. And totally unprofessional. And by the way, again, that's the floor. So as your wheels are spinning, it's just throwing dirt and ice and water and everything up into all of that. Wow. It's not where you want it to be. Again, another shot of torn metal. Yep. And a horrible weld. At least it's dressed, but it's not going to help you in another accident. It's clearly weakened. You don't have to be in this business to understand that it shouldn't look like that.
100%.
So, and then this last picture, these are two spot welds, and you can see the rust already forming in them.
Yep.
And that's because it was squeezed too hard. These welds will never stand up to anything. So when you do welding, you're supposed to do a weld test on a separate piece of metal first to set up the welder to make sure it's going to perform correctly and put the right weld in.
Right.
This, they obviously did not do that, because this pinched it so tight that it actually dented it, and those welds are never going to stand up. I could take a screwdriver, go in there and pop those welds, forget about getting hit by another vehicle. And they're already rusting.
Wow.
And that's on the bottom of the vehicle. So anyway, I just, the way cars are getting fixed today, and this is totally about money.
Yeah.
It's money for the shop, it's saving money for the insurance company, the guest is getting screwed. Well, in this particular case, the guest is going to get even. And it took almost 6 months to get to where we are today. So he was out of his rental in 30 days and actually had to go out and buy another vehicle so that he have something to drive back and forth to work with. There's just so many things wrong with this story.
Yeah.
But, from a consumer standpoint, you just think your car is fixed.
Right.
And from the outside looking at this vehicle, you would not have necessarily picked up all this stuff. You need to get underneath it, and you need to have somebody that knows what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Take a look up in it and say, oh boy, that's not good.
Well, and after all the time and all the money spent, one just has to ask the question, why such an adversarial relationship with the insurance industry that would rather spend the more money, waste the time of the guest, and all of it just in order to try to get away with something to save themselves a few bucks.
Yeah, it's horrific.
It really is.
And unfortunately, you want to be buyer beware, but how would you know unless you brought it to somebody after the repair to take a look at it? And, this gentleman knew that he was going to be bringing it back here.
Right.
Because he knew the car shouldn't be fixed to begin with. So,
yeah, be careful who you trust, right? And that goes kind of puts an umbrella on the whole story here, Rob. We do these videos for you, the consumer. This is not an industry piece. These videos, the airing of grievances, which, by the way, we've got more than a year's worth of videos now.
Thank you.
They're here for you. And what can you do to prevent something like this happening to yourself? You can watch the videos. You can share the videos. Educate yourself. It takes a couple 20 minutes.
Call us and ask questions.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the Colorado area, or even if you are, you don't have to call us. There are other great shops. None of them that I know that would have ever fixed this vehicle.
Right.
And those are the people that you want to know.
Absolutely.
The people that look out for you. By the way, you've heard me talk about pre and post scanning.
Yeah.
This vehicle didn't even get a pre or a post scan, and which I find interesting, because sometimes all we have to do is look at the repair plan or your receipt, basically, that itemized what was done. I see that they pulled the airbag out of the vehicle to access welding some of this stuff,
Right.
and put it back in, and yet we don't do a pre or a post scan to make sure that there's...
You have to do those.
You don't have to. But
if you want the car repaired properly, you have to have
it's
these.
remedial. It's
Right.
remedial that you would do. This is almost $20,000 worth of damage. You should, at the very minimum, do a pre and a post scan, to make sure everything is operating by design. But if you're going to deliver it this way, I guess it really doesn't matter anyway. And you save the insurance company that much more money.
It matters to us.
It sure does.
It matters to you. And we thank you so much for not only being here, making it to the end of the video. If you haven't already, give us a big thumbs up.
Please.
And again, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, and there's a good percentage of people who haven't
$3.49.
yet, right? Do us a favor, if you would, please, and click the subscribe button. That just gives you a notification. You have to hit the notification bell to be notified that we're putting up another video every Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. here in the West, or in the Mountain Time Zone. And share this with your socials. It is probably the biggest ask that we could do. It costs you nothing. A copy and paste, that's it. but it means the world to us so that we can get this message out, because just not enough people are talking about what's really happening behind the scenes. And there are a lot of people being taken advantage of, and in some cases dangerously, potentially dangerously so.
Yeah.
So-
Well, this car's not safe to drive, so.
No. Well, I wish you the very best at your convention that you're going to be speaking to all these associations, and we'll still be airing another episode during the week that you are out there
God
speaking. So we'll.
Busy time.
It really is, but we're grateful for the time that you've invested. Thank you so
Happy
much, brother.
Saturday.
To
To you folks, thank you so much. God bless and have a wonderful week.